Hi, I'm Dave Sinclair. In today's video, we're going to talk about a story I heard this last week from someone I do some work with. And it's the train story, not the two train story, but the travelers at a train station story, let's call it. So let's just set the stage here. Just imagine there's a train station, and imagine you can see this kind of scene unfolding in front of you, and this young guy, maybe 20, 25 years old, walks into the train station, and he just immediately feels overwhelmed. There's trains going all over, and they all look they look slightly different, and just can't quite make heads or tails. He walks in here, doesn't really have a destination, doesn't even know what's really important to him about being here, but he's in this train station and he knows he has to do something, or he knows he should do something. You feel that all these trains are going every way, left, right, north, south, east, west. There's massive train stations, trains coming, going, and there's a central spot where he can kind of sit and get onto any of these trains. And he's looking around in this central spot, and he sees all kinds of people coming, going, coming off the train. And he also notices a whole bunch of people just sitting down. And he notices one person in particular, an older fellow, and he decides to go up and just talk to this person, because this person is looking kind of distraught. This older guy is just sitting there, his hands are in his head, and he's just like, looks stressed out. So the young guy goes up to him and he asks him, what's going on? And the old guy says, I've been here forever. I can't figure out what train to get on. And the young guy says, you've been here forever? And the old guy says, yeah, I've been here ever since I was 20 years old. I've been sitting here in this very spot. I just can't figure out what train to get on. The young guy says, well, how come? He says, because what if I get on the wrong one? What if I do the wrong thing? What if it's going the wrong direction? What if? And you could just feel this sense of overwhelm. And the young guy kind of takes a moment and he just spends a little bit of time talking to this guy, just trying to comfort him. But this guy's just inconsolable. He just can't get out of these what ifs, just can't get moving. So the young guy kind of takes a step back from there and says, well, that doesn't seem right. It seems I've got to at least get on one train here. And I still don't know which train to get on. I'm not feeling very good. I definitely don't want to end up like, at that spot where I'm 85 years old and I haven't gotten on any trains. And before he knows it, a train stops, and almost from a gut instinct, the guy just gets on. Our young guy just gets on and just gets on this train, and it starts going. The doors close behind him. It starts going. It's whistling along. And he's on this train and he's just looking around. It's just very chaotic. He's noticing on this train that it's just not in very good shape. It's not taken care of. The people on it aren't in very good shape. And he's like, no, this doesn't feel right. He goes along it for a little bit, figuring, well, I'm on this train. I've got to stay on. So he stays on it a little bit too long. He stays on it for a week, a month, and it just kind of keeps going. And pretty soon he's feeling not very good about this. And he finally says, no, enough. The train stops at this one stop and he gets off, looks back at the train and says, no, that's not for me, that train. And at this next stop, a different station, things are starting to look a little different. He's looking around and he can see other trains that look similar to this one. He's like, no, those aren't the trains I want to get on. I don't know exactly where I want to go, but definitely not that. And he's looking around and he notices another train that looks like, oh, this looks a little different. Looks like it's a little bit more put together. It stops. He gets on that one. It starts going along. And yeah, he's like, this one feels better. He's looking around and people are kind of, they've got their stuff together. They're all wearing suits. They're all very, kind of doing stuff. So he rides this one for a while. And he starts to notice as he goes along, people are kind of very rigid on this train. They're not very, flexible. The first train, things were very loose, chaotic, and not really put together very well. This one, things are just, if you do anything wrong, people are on you. They're like, no, you can't do that. You have to do things this way. He's like, oh boy, yeah. He rides this one for a while and he starts feeling this stress in his system. He starts realizing, I don't know if this train's for me either. So another stop comes along. He gets off. Looks back at that train. He says, well, that first one was way too loose and unstructured. This last one was, way too structured, way too rigid. I know I don't want that. And he starts noticing as this other station he gets to, there's still all kinds of trains and some are looking different. Some are looking kind of in between these two. So one that looks kind of in between the two, he jumps on that one for a while. He rides that and he finds, okay, this one feels pretty good. It's pretty easy going and put together. We really don't have to do very much on this train other than just kind of ride it. I don't feel like I'm really contributing, he starts talking to himself. He decides, this maybe isn't quite the right train, but I'm getting closer. It feels pretty good. It's relatively put together, not too rigid. There's some rules, but there's some flexibility. But I'm kind of missing something. Everyone else is kind of doing everything for people. So this one gets to another station. It stops. He gets off. And now he's been on 3 trains that don't quite fit. And a 4th one comes along that looks a little different. He gets on this one. It's pretty well put together. It's got some flexibility. And it seems as soon as he gets on, someone asks, hey, welcome aboard. We've all got different jobs on this train. Tell me about yourself. What is it that you might be able to offer? What is it that you really kind of lights you up that you might be able to do on this train to kind of help out? And he starts finding this kind of meaning and this purpose and understanding how what he does helps everyone else on the train. So this train keeps going along for a while and keeps going and going and going. And eventually it just keeps going. He keeps riding the train. That's kind of what like it's all about. He's realizing that, hey, you know what? This train's put together. It feels good. It's really feeling good to me. It feels like I fit here. There's some, it's relatively put together. It's flexible. I feel like I'm contributing and we're kind of moving along in the same direction. Well, that train keeps going along for a while and it stops eventually. He decides to get off it for a little bit as another big major transition happens in his life. And he gets off at a station where all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of young people like he was many, many years ago. This guy is now aged quite a bit. Let's say he's 65 now. And you can see all kinds of young people milling around. You can also see some older guys on the bench that have never got on a train. And I'm kind of curious for you as we do this exercise, as we go through this story, what's come up for you in this story? If you were the young guy at the beginning of the story riding these different trains, what different trains would have been right for you to try out? What's important in this story? And again, now, if you're the 64-year-old guy that was at the train station to start with, and now he's here looking at the older guys that never got on the train and the younger guys that are confused which train to get on, what advice might you provide? What wisdom might have you gained by riding those different trains? What would you share now? What would you want the old guy that's never got on a train to know? And what would you want the young guy that's wondering what train to get on and feeling overwhelmed to know? I'll leave you with that. Have a great day and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.